Hey y'all, welcome to Level Up Cajun Style. Today we're going to get a little dirty. Yeah, we're going to get dirty with dirty rice. We're going to make Cajun dirty rice here on Level Up Cajun Style. So stay tuned with us. Allons cuisiner. Hey y'all, welcome back to Level Up Cajun Style. Today we're going to be doing a dirty rice, get ready to get dirty, but before we get started, I'm asking you to do me a favor. Please, in the bottom of the screen, click the subscribe button and click the bell for notifications so that it'll let you know every time we have a new episode uploaded and you can be part of this with us, okay? We're going to talk a little bit about why it's called dirty rice and that stuff, but let's get right to the ingredients. Here we're going to start with our seasoning mix. We have here our bell peppers and celery and onions, and we have all three kinds of bell peppers in here today. We have the green and the yellow and the red. Then we have two types of ground meat here. We have ground pork, Italian ground breakfast pork. We have a pound of ground meat, very lean ground meat. So we have a pound of ground meat, 3/4 of a pound of Italian sausage, and we have 1/4 of a pound of chicken livers. Isn't that lovely? And then over here I have a little bit of course, EVOO, extra virgin olive oil, but that's just to keep the meat from sticking. And then as always, Piedmont's Cajun shake. Always Cajun shake. Now, something I didn't realize, and maybe you didn't realize it either, but there is a better way of cooking ground meat and ground pork than what I'm used to. I'm used to throwing the meat in there and letting it just do its thing and breaking it up. But after paying close attention to people, I'm putting a little EVOO in the bottom here right now just to make sure it doesn't stick. And while that heats up, the better way of cooking ground meat and ground pork is to take the whole thing. We're going to let it heat up here and get up to heat. We'll take the whole thing and just plop it right in. All right, that's our 1 pound of pork. I'm sorry, that's our 1 pound of ground meat, and this is our 1 pound of pork sausage, ground sausage. And we're gonna let that cook up and get a nice dark sear on it. Okay, while that's getting all hot and bothered in the dirty rice, oh my goodness, it's gonna be a blushing day, y'all. A little bit of background, where did dirty rice come from? Well, we've talked about it before on this show that when the Cajuns came down from Nova Scotia, they were literally thrown out of Nova Scotia with nothing. I mean, what they could carry, they took. And so they came here and they were, let's just say, not a very wealthy people in terms of money, but they had a lot of family, a lot of tradition, a lot of love. Well, dirty rice came about, as I read it, as I appreciate it. And if y'all have a different opinion, let me know, because I want to hear from you. Join the conversation below and say, Chuck, you're an idiot, and that's fine. The way dirty rice came around is there was not a lot of meat. And so the early Cajuns needed a way to stretch the meat, stretch the food. And so what they did is, rice is a big crop in Louisiana. So they took Louisiana rice, Cajun country rice, they took that rice and used it as filler and made a rice dressing to stretch their food. And that's where dirty rice or Cajun rice came from. Now, there are several iterations of Cajun rice or dirty rice, or some people call it rice dressing. Several iterations. One is liver, which we have chicken livers here, and gizzards and rice. And that's where they make their Cajun rice. And they save their rice dressing for pork and beef. Well, I'm going to do it a little bit backwards around. I'm going to use beef and pork for my Cajun rice, with a little bit of livers. Livers just gives it that little extra pop. Now you say, Chuck, is that your level up? No, level up's yet to come. And you have to watch all the way until the end for our level up here, okay? So, and look, see it's sizzling and popping. I'm not even worried. Because we're going to put a nice brown crust on both sides of this before we actually get to breaking it up and start really, really cooking. So this is really just prep work, all right? All right, so we're going to check the meat here because I think we got a nice sear going. It sounds like we do anyway. Yeah. You see a nice brown sear. Let's check the sausage, which I think the sausage is actually going to be a little more seared. And you say, Chuck, that looks burned. Are you trying to make blackened Cajun rice? No, it's not burned. That's what we expected right there, because that's sealing all the flavor underneath it, okay? So just take a chill pill. Now, something we want to do at this point, I don't like to use a lot of salt because salt's not really good for you. So we're gonna fill the top with Piedmont's Cajun shake. All right. Now, Chuck, how much you putting on there? It's not about an amount, it's just filling the top of it solidly with Piedmont's Cajun shake. Now there are other spices you can put if you want to use those, but Cajun shake, Piedmont's Cajun shake really does a trick for me. It really is a good flavor. My family really likes it, and that's all I really cook with. And by the way, where can you get Piedmont's Cajun shake, you ask? I'm glad you asked that question. Always, Piedmont's Cajun shake, available exclusively online at CajunCookingNetwork.com. Now, you can go to Piedmont's and get it down in Springfield, Louisiana, but that's a heck of a drive if you're coming from Minnesota or California. Whereas if you go to my website, CajunCookingNetwork.com, our website, you can get this ordered, sent directly to your house. Okay? Always Piedmont's Cajun shake. So we're gonna hold on this just a little bit more and let it cook down just a bit. So as you take a look down here, you can see we got a pretty good hard sear on this dude. And so now it's time we're gonna start breaking it up just a little bit. It's gonna be still a little bit raw in the middle. And by the way, you'll see I have a very high heat on this thing because it takes a very high heat to make sure this all gets done. Now you notice there's not a lot of grease happening here, even though we're cooking this pork and this beef. This is all very lean, guys. I made sure to get lean beef, so we wouldn't have a lot of grease, because you don't want a lot of grease in your dirty rice. It's kind of dirty. Now you see, after breaking it all up, guys, we really have very little left that's very pink, and that's the plan, because at this point in time, it's so cooked through that a lot of our flavor is still sitting in the meat. It wasn't cooked out. It didn't come out in aromatics or any of that sort of thing. Okay. Now, the next step is I'm going to drop the livers in there. This is just about 1/4 pound of liver. We already cooked the liver because, let's face it, liver is kind of gross when you look at it. All right, so we cooked it down so you wouldn't have to look at it. And now we're going to add this 1/4 pound of liver. And why we add liver? Well, liver is really, in South Louisiana, is that signature taste that we like to see inside the dirty rice. So we're going to mix that liver in here really good. Just a little tip from me to you. When you get your liver, and you get fresh chicken liver, you may find there's a little green. I know we found some green. And don't let that bother you, because all that green is just some of the bile, because, you know, liver, unlike chicken breast or the beef is muscle, liver is in fact a functioning organ, and that green is just a little bit of the bile that happened to spill out while the liver was processing whatever was going through it at the time. So if you see green, it's not harmful. It's not pretty, but it's not harmful. So don't worry about that. So we're going to mix our livers in there very nicely. Now it's spread in there really nicely. The next step is we're going to grab a hold of the Trinity. Now what we have here, we have 1 pound of ground meat, 3/4 of a pound of pork sausage, 1/4 pound of chicken livers, and 2 cups of beautiful seasoning blend. You drop that in right on top. Wow. Wow, that smells amazing, guys. Good thing this is television and not smell-o-vision, because you'd be trying to take a bite out of your TV. And look how colorful that is. We've got the yellow bell peppers, we've got the green bell peppers, the red bell peppers, and we've got some onion. Now, just like with a jambalaya, we want to make sure these onions get cooked down and get all these flavors from the seasoning mix into the meat, and that this heat is the catalyst that's going to make that happen. But you may say, now, Chuck, what's the difference between jambalaya and dirty rice? Well, first of all, remember from the jambalaya show that the word jambalaya is a combination of 2 words, one being jambon, which is French for ham, and the other being yaya, which is Urdu for rice. We're going to have rice in this dish, but we're not going to have the big chunks of ham. And that's the kind of the difference is. And then if this were a jambalaya, and you could easily turn this into a jambalaya, by the way, and people have done so. The jambalaya, the rice is cooked in with the pork and the seasoning blend. And this one we're going to take finished rice and just drop it on the top. We'll talk about portions and that stuff in just a bit. But let's get this cooked down, because we don't want a lot of crunchy, chunky stuff in our Cajun rice, in our dirty rice. All right, you can hear that real sizzle. Remember, I had this at a very high heat, because what we're trying to do is we're really trying to get these vegetables to cook down. Chunks of meat are great. Chunky, crunchy vegetables in some instances are great, but not in a dirty rice. And you can see this flat bottom utensil here. I call it a spoon, but it's really not a spoon. This flat bottom utensil here really keeps stuff from sticking to the bottom. We keep it moving and moving. All right? So now's the time, boys and girls. We're going to take this guy here. We're going to turn the heat down, actually off. I'm going to turn the heat off. We don't need heat at this point because the rice is already fully cooked. Now, back in the day when the Cajuns were doing this, and by the way, you see how that white rice just stands out? Remember how bright and colored the vegetables were? Well, they're now wilted and cooked down. That's how we know they're ready. Back in the day, they used a lot more rice than they did meat because that's why Cajun rice was put together historically. And so, but what I like to do, for me, serving my house, my family, I like to do 1-to-1. So I like to have a nice equal amount of rice and meat. Okay, I'll add 2 more scoops. All right, now, see the white rice? Watch what happens. Uh-oh. Do you see how it's changing colors? Isn't that gorgeous? Wow. Guys, a lovely thing, food, yes, is all about taste. But there's something about a great presentation that just makes the food taste better, don't you think? So what do you think? How's that look? Looking good? All right, we're going to plate it up in just a minute and show you what it tastes like. Show you by the expression on our faces, okay? Don't get all crazy. All right, y'all, we're going to serve this up. We got to do it quick because the crew is about to have a rebellion here because it smells absolutely fantastic. Whew. Now you'll notice you don't hear any sizzling, you don't hear any heat because once the meat portion, the dirty portion was cooked, there was no more need for heat because if we kept the heat on, the rice would have kept trying to cook and it would have gotten nice and mushy. And as you can see, that rice is anything but mushy. All right, so we're going to put this on our little plate here. We're going to top it off with a little bit of parsley. Oh, look at that, it's gorgeous. Now, you may say, well, Chuck, that's all fine and good, but there's no level up. Where's the level up at? Well, it's a good question. Where's the level up at? What do we do with the level up, y'all? Oh, wait. Here's the level up. It's like, Chuck, what is that crusty goodness? This is crumbs from fried chicken. And as I said earlier in the show, some people cook this as a side to fried chicken. I happen to love it as a side to fried chicken. But the best you can do is take some of this crispy, crunchy goodness from the chicken and just level it right on top. And that's how we level it up because, guys, you got all those spices that were in that fried chicken on top of all the spices in the dirty rice, and it tastes amazing. Amazing. So I'm going to move it over here. Look. Is that good looking or what? So that's how we, bam, level up our dirty rice, our Cajun dirty rice. So I'll put it right in here so we get a nice shot. Ooh. Isn't that pretty? All right. Well, that's it for this episode of Level Up Cajun Style with Dirty Rice. Level Up Cajun Style with me, Chuck Bush, as your cook. Leveling up dirty rice. Until next time, God bless America. A long cuisine.